When Taylor James was born, I had an emergency cesarean section because the baby's heartbeat started dropping. Although Jay didn't say anything, I knew it had shaken him up because he was bossy with the nurses. "I hope you've washed your hands before coming in," he kept telling them. "Germs can spread." He didn't mean to be rude, but after 9 months of waiting to meet our bundle of joy, he just wanted everything to be perfect. Back home, I was in a lot of pain as I recovered. "I'll run a bath for you," he'd say. He'd get up at night when Taylor cried, sterilized bottles, and changed nappies. Brilliant. And a year on, he did it all again when we welcomed Tommy Lee into the world. Of course, things could have been better. Jay and I sometimes argued about silly things. He'd leave wet towels on the bed or not clear up after dinner, which got on my nerves. We'd have a row, and then I'd go to Mom's with the boys until it blew over. It was just my way of dealing with things. But Jay knew I'd never stay angry with him for long. I'd always be back home after a day or two. The kissing and making up were the best bit anyway. We'd snuggle up to watch one of our favorite scary films, and I'd bury my head in his shoulder at the jumpy bits. Then life would carry on happily, until the next time. As I watched Jay fooling around with the boys, I was glad to see him smiling, because for the past week, he'd seemed stressed out about something. The following day, I was fuming. "You were all over the place last night," I snapped. "I'm sorry," he said, giving me his puppy dog eyes. But I was tired and grumpy and didn't want to listen. "I'm taking the kids to Mom's for a bit," I told him. Later, my mom, Sarah, 41, and I had a good heart-to-heart. "No wonder you argue sometimes, and being parents to 2 young kids is tough." Mom was right. I was 21, and while my friends were out enjoying themselves, I had responsibilities. Sometimes it got too much for me, and I needed to escape for some space. That night, I got a text from Jay. "I love you," it read. "Please come home." Although I missed him, stubbornness stopped me from replying. I did take the boys around to see him, though. Jay ushered me inside, a mischievous grin on his face. "Look," he said, pointing towards the fridge. "Remember that photo?" He'd stuck up an old picture I'd sent him when we started going out. I was 16 and looked so happy and carefree. "Well, I'm a busy mom these days," I snapped. "Those days are long gone." But although I didn't show it, part of me was touched. I popped back again for some extra clothes a few days later. Jay was in the living room watching TV, and I didn't go in to speak to him. It was silly, but I wanted him to make the first move. 2 days later, Mom and I watched my granddad playing drums with his band. "I had a great night," I giggled to Mom as she drove us home at about 11:30. I tailed off as we drove past the kebab shop. I could have sworn I'd just seen Jay's dog, Rocky, wandering outside, but Rocky never left Jay's side. I picked up my phone to call him, but my phone had run out of battery. When we got home, my sister Tasha, 16, awaited us. "I've had an odd Facebook message from your neighbor," she told me. "She thinks your front door might have been kicked in." "Oh God, I hope Jay's okay," I replied, panic rising. "I'll drive you over," Mom said. When we arrived 5 minutes later, there was a police van with 2 officers outside. Our front door was slightly open. "What's going on?" I asked. "Where's Jay?" "Who are you?" one of the officers asked. "I live here," I said, watching as he pushed the door open. But then I stopped. We both recoiled in horror. Jay was lying on the stairs in a pool of blood. His face was deathly white. A purple towel was half laying over him as if he'd tried to stem the blood flow, but it had completely saturated his white shirt. "Jay!" I gasped. "Someone call an ambulance," I heard the officer say. I collapsed to the floor in shock. Everything went fuzzy. I felt Mom helping me up. Then I was in a neighbor's house, and someone was trying to force a strong coffee down me. Suddenly, a paramedic appeared. "I'm so sorry," she said gently. "We couldn't save him." "I don't understand," I gulped. It didn't sink in, even as I was driving to the police station. "Jay was stabbed in the chest 3 times, a detective explained. My head spun as it suddenly hit me. Jay was dead. I took a few deep breaths and tried to steady myself. Over the following hours, officers quizzed me about what I'd been doing that night, our relationship, the last thing I'd said to him. "We didn't even speak," I gasped. Remembering how I'd blanked him, I felt so guilty. Around 6 a.m., I was allowed back to Mom's. "Where's Daddy?" Taylor asked when I walked in. A lump caught in my throat. Looking at him in his little blue pajamas, His whole world was about to change. "Daddy's in heaven now," I whispered, pointing upwards. Then I held him close as his little sobs echoed mine. After that, one day blurred into the next. In a haze of grief, it was 2 weeks before I remembered that. I hadn't even looked at my phone since the night Jay died. Turning it on, I gasped as I realized I had a voicemail from Jay, left less than an hour before he'd been killed. My whole body was shaking as I heard his voice on the line. He was slurring and out of breath. There were noises in the background. "I love my kids," Jay said. Then the line went dead. "I'm sorry I didn't get your message, Jay," I sobbed. "I wish we hadn't argued." Suddenly, the enormity of my loss hit me like a hammer. Our days out in the summer, family barbecues, and nights curled up on the sofa watching horror movies together were lost forever. I twisted the engagement ring on my finger, crying for the future we'd never have. More than anything, I was angry about the senseless waste of Jay's life. As more information about his death emerged, it just seemed so pointless. "I've heard rumors that some people were calling him a grass," Tasha told me. "That's a load of rubbish," I cried, my frustration boiling. But my poor Jay had been hounded. The police told me there was CCTV footage that showed him being followed by a group of yobs a couple of weeks before he died. Was that why he'd been so stressed and distant? On the night he died, Jay had gone for a kebab and bumped into a group of local lads. One of them, Tommy Presley, had chased him home. He'd now been arrested on suspicion of killing Jay. Before we got justice, though, I had to say a final goodbye. At one point during the funeral service, Taylor ran straight up to Jay's coffin and kissed it. "Bye-bye, Daddy," I heard him say. Tears trickled down my cheeks. I felt like my heart had been ripped apart. Afterward, Mom and Granddad went to a local cafe where we toasted Jay with mugs of tea. 5 months after Jay's death, Presley, 18, went on trial at Maidstone Crown Court. He admitted stabbing Jay, but denied murder or manslaughter, claiming he'd acted in self-defense. The court heard he'd chased Jay home from the kebab shop, and there had been a scuffle on the doorstep. He'd stabbed him, gone to a friend's house, and played computer games until the early hours. In interviews, Presley had repeatedly told police that he wasn't involved. 3 weeks on, the jury returned their verdict: guilty of manslaughter. Presley was jailed for 11 years. Judge Carey told him, "You have done everything you can to avoid facing up to the consequences of what you did by lying again and again." I was relieved justice had been served, but the trial didn't give us any answers. I still didn't know why Presley attacked Jay or what happened that night. "I just feel like Jay died for no reason," I sobbed to Mom. "All you can do now is make sure his memory lives on," she tried to soothe me. "I miss Jay every day. Sometimes I'll put a horror movie on and go to snuggle up to him. All that's left is an empty space on the sofa." It would have been his 30th birthday this May. The boys and I will release helium balloons in his memory. "Does that mean they'll fly into heaven so Daddy can see them?" Taylor, now 3, asked the other day. "That's right," I told him, tears pricking my eyes. I still feel so guilty that we weren't speaking before he died. A day or two more and we'd have made up and forgotten about it. Even though I never got to tell him one last time, I hope Jay knew how much I loved him, because I always will. Life is precious and fleeting, and it's important to cherish every moment with the people we love. We should never take those moments for granted because we never know when they might be our last. We should strive to make the most of our time with our loved ones and always hold them close in our hearts, even after they are gone.